We're here at Sun and Fun 2022, and at the Zenith booth, we've got this, I've been quoted as saying this is a wacky airplane. And of course, this is a STOL CH-750 Super Duty with obviously the Viking engine up here, and I'll have Jan Eggenfellner here with Viking and talk a little bit about this project.
Well, the airplane is not wacky. We want to make sure to say that the airplane is a stock 750 Super Duty. The wackiness is from this landing gear that we came up with, and I think most people that do like STOL competition, they basically put a different landing gear on it. We decided to do the same thing.
Right.
We're going to be competitive. We put a different landing gear, and it's not because the original gear is no good. For normal flying, the gear is absolutely perfect, but for playing around, having fun, you know, showing off a little bit at the STOL competitions, this gear was just fun to design, and we have 18 inches of travel on our shocks, and we have a thought about, you know, this maybe being able to be a little bit more radical and drastic, and maybe stop a little sooner and take off a little bit sooner. So that's the idea.
And it's, I'm guessing it's to help primarily on the landing, because, you know, we were right here in Lakeland, Florida in December,
Right.
and, you know, you had the 44-foot takeoff and no wind condition, like crazy. You can't go much shorter than that, I don't think.
Well, let's take a look at this picture. The thought of doing the gear actually came about for the opposite. See how the tail is almost scraping? And that's even with the extensions on the landing gear. So we have the luxury of this giant fan up front because we had a development done together with Duke, and we had a 95-inch propeller made, and the limitation became being able to lower the tail more in order to get that 44-foot number down even further.
But shoot, you get that much rotation, you're nearly a helicopter, no?
It's the idea, you know, it's the idea to actually levitate, because
right,
as you see Steve Hendry, his tire goes around once and he's in the air.
Right,
so
yeah.
The competition has become so fierce that you can't afford to go forward. You have to go into the air immediately.
But again, if you can continue to do 40-foot takeoffs and no wind conditions, you can't go much shorter than that. And of course, every day is going to be a little bit different conditions and so forth. But in other words, the gears for about landings. Well, I get it. So you got the rotation. You want to be able to get that high rotation. But then again, talk about for the landing part. Now that's where the shocks come in, isn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because initially it seems like, well, how is it really going to help on the landing? And there's different phases of that, and we're still in the testing of it. If you picture this being collapsed the full 18 inches here, and if you then took a snapshot of the airplane, the nose wheel would be touching, the fuselage would be down here, and the tail skid would also be touching. So the whole airplane would be planted on the ground, nose wheel, main gear, and the tail skid in a positive attitude. So now when you add full braking, you have the mass of the airplane going into the ground,
right,
and less tendency of tipping over, which is the same issue with nose wheel or tail dragger. You want to keep it from tipping over. So
and it's great that obviously you put a lot of thought into this, just like you're explaining here, and that's great to see, because you know, I know in a lot of home built aircraft, the landing gear is kind of an afterthought sometimes, and I know my dad Chris, you know, put a lot of thought into it, especially for slow flying airplanes. At the same time, not doing a system for STOL competitions either. It's you know, for everyday flying.
And then you have, you know, obviously the original gear is much less parts, simpler, maybe easier to maintain.
Oh,
There's pros and cons to everything, and we all know that.
Absolutely. But
and this is a competition type of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, you put a lot of thought. It'll be interesting to see now after Sun and Fun how you test it more, and we'll look forward to seeing your videos on doing that, and we'll look forward to seeing you, you know, hopefully on the STOL show circuit, because that would be awesome to see.
Well, I you know, now when this is complete, it's the fun part is to go out there and not just doing the test flying, the improving my own skills, but also learning about, you know, like the off-road guys are doing with their shocks and tuning the shocks. And so the whole idea of have the right amount of compression on landing, and then a very slow rebound on the shock. And these are the things that I haven't really played with that I'm going to, you know, learn about.
And you know, right here we're standing. Jan is standing underneath the elevator. It gives you an idea of the size of this airplane. It's really high. I see those big red struts. Those are also ladders to get into the airplane, aren't they?
They are, yeah, yeah. Because that's the number one question. You know, how do I get into this thing, right? Or how does anybody get into
That's
it?
Right.
All right. Now it's open. So basically, yes, there's a built-in ladder.
So show us how you get in here.
And
oh yeah,
so it's
nice.
not different than any other airplane.
Yeah, nice. So you've actually got 2 steps. You use the 2 steps to go up. Now talk a little bit about the wheels. You know, you used to have the big Alaska Bush wheels on here. And then you've gone now with the smaller, and in comparison to the rest of the airplane, these wheels actually look pretty small. They're not small wheels.
I don't know, like 21s or something.
Exactly,
or whatever,
exactly. Yeah. So they're full-size wheels, but on this kind of monstrosity, and then you call it the Monster. So I'm not feeling bad calling it a monstrosity.
That's true. The wacky monstrosity.
But it has small feet, small wheels. So talk a little bit about that, as opposed to the big Alaska Bush wheels.
Well, from the experience we've had. First of all, the Alaskan Bush wheels are high quality, you know, choice if somebody wants to do that.
Sure, of course.
I like them because they were like all one piece. You don't have a tube and all that stuff. Now, besides that, they're expensive. This isn't negative about it.
Right, sure.
But they are expensive. And anything bigger than this for any kind of normal flying is for show. We're showing that we're having big wheels, right?
Like on a truck.
Right, in a truck, yeah. So then the show part of it is expensive. The show part of it is heavy. It's really heavy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the expense, or the big disadvantage of not being able to land on pavement.
Right,
you know,
I
did it for a few times, and it didn't take long before we started seing thread in these tires. And then they're shot. So I think a compromise, which, like we keep saying, is the thing about airplanes. If the tires are big enough that you can roll comfortably over, you know, tundra and grass and some little rocks and stuff, then for most people, I think that's the right choice. And yeah, removing the big tires, removing the aluminum bow type of landing gear, and adding this weldment with you know, obviously it's not very thick wall tubing. Really didn't increase the weight of the airplane. It remains to be seen what the speed disadvantage is going to be. We did put some streamlined tubing in here just to try to help with that. Of course, it's not for speed. It's for stall, but at the same time, it'd be nice to be able to go from the competition home and all that, you know, at a reasonable clip. But we'll see what it'll cruise at. Right.
Yeah, that we'll be excited to follow you and how it goes. And you know, one thing we like following you because you know you do a lot of neat innovations on the Zenith products, and whether it's putting different engines on the front end, different gear systems on it, you come up with interesting innovations. So we like to see that.
Well, thank you.
And you know, that's really following in the spirit of experimental aircraft. You know, is Zenith, we supply you a good starting point with a good design, but then customers take it and make it their own for their intended purposes.
Yeah, but I'd like to highlight that one more time, is that it's not necessary to change a Zenith airplane to make it to be perfect at stall. And this is Zenith, this is Zenith, this is Zenith, this is all Zenith. It's all your dad's creation. It's just like it's a common thing for stall guys to put a different landing gear.
Exactly, and that's part of the fun, is making it your own, and you know, for its intended purposes. And of course, the experimental category allows you to do that.
Right.
So that's one of the things we like to see. And the same on the engine side, instrument panel side. You know, this is a pretty unique airplane. Now, this particular Super Duty, that was the first customer built one, correct?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember we supplied you a kit before we even had a kit for this airplane, pretty much, and that you were able to then put the 195 turbo on it and so forth.
Exactly. It was the first one put together with help from you guys.
So very quickly, let's just talk about your engine as well, since obviously that's your expertise there.
Yeah, this has been on there for a few years now. This is the Honda Accord engine, 195 horsepower. Some neat features about it is obviously, first, you know, it's a Honda. And things that people might not be familiar with, usually turbochargers are hanging on pipes and stuff, and Honda has a unique system where the turbocharger is bolted directly to the cylinder head, and the exhaust manifold is built into the cylinder head, so you get cooling of the turbocharger, you get cooling the discharge that goes to the engine. So it's a very efficient turbocharger type of system. Of course, we run our gearbox here. Here's that propeller I talked about. Viking's design in the sense that we wanted the long blades, the 95-inch propeller. We went together with Duke to do the actual production of it, and that's been really, now with the airplane sitting even higher, we'd like to have an even longer propeller. You know, there's a limit to
like I say, you're going that transition with the high angle and the big propeller to a helicopter nearly.
Well, it's all about how many pounds of thrust are you generating,
absolutely,
and how much can you blanket the airplane with the
exactly.
propeller.
Well, thanks for taking a few minutes and sharing things about it. That's probably one of the most photographed aircraft here at Sun and Fun, I think.
Well,
so.
We're right over there, and we keep looking over here. And there's always a crowd, and somebody wants to have their picture taken.
Awesome. Thanks, Jan.
Yeah.